The evolution of a Zanpakuto consists of 2 stages, the Shikai and Bankai, correct? Well, not really. What if I told you the Zanpakuto consists of 6 stages, these stages being the Asauchi, the Zanpakuto, the Shikai, the Bankai, the right-armed fusion, and the full-body merge? On this episode of Seireitei Talk, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything Bleach-related, we will be discussing the Zanpakuto and how it evolves. I'm your host, Kuro, better known as Cole, and joining me today, once again, is my lovely assistant, Red Alexander.
Please been a while.
Introduce yourself, Red.
I'm Red Alexander. I may or may not be voicing Shinji in the project. Who knows?
You have 2 voice actors here today on Seireitei Talk. Unlike the last episode, or the future episode, depending on which one this goes up, where I interviewed the Johnny Young Bosch.
Oh, is that up yet? When's that going up?
I sent the audio to Scarlett because I don't have Adobe Audition. My audio needs to be equalized a little bit. His came in perfect. But mine...
voice actor voice, he knows how to project.
Well, the mic that I was using actually is a mic that you have to... It's like a radio mic. It's called a Rode. And I was apparently too close to that mic.
I see. Well,
so
let's talk about this shit, shall we?
Yeah.
So, before you move on with what you had down here, I've always been interested in the right arm fusion and the merge aspect of this because I remember I was actually reading Bleach Weekly when these chapters came out, the final Aizen fight with Ichigo. And because I was in high school, I actually caught up to Bleach around the time Yamamoto was fighting Wonder Weiss, actually. That was like the chapter I caught up with. And so, you know, good shit. Obviously, I know you're a Yamamoto fan.
I mean, I am the voice.
Just a little bit.
Just
but so when Aizen kind of implied that, both of our swords are kind of just like super glued to our hands, I wonder if that's like some next stage evolution of the sword. And I always love that idea, like, oh, cool. That actually makes sense for a stage beyond Bankai because you're slowly merging with your sword. And even this goes into like the final arc where you have the chapter where Ichigo is kind of like accepting his powers, and it changes to I believe like isn't the chapter called like the sword is me or something?
Yeah. It's like...
so I think that was a theme that Kubo was going for, where it's like your Zanpakuto, it starts off as like a separate soul inside of you that you can call upon, but when really it eventually needs to end up being essentially 2 souls as one.
Yeah. Which
because
makes sense considering it makes sense considering the Zanpakuto is, which will be stated later on in the script, but the Zanpakuto is a part of the soul, which is why the Asauchi has limitless potential, as stated by Nimaya.
And what I always loved about Bleach, what I always found fascinating and unique about Bleach, is that you don't, in other series you're going to gain strength by, lifting weights and literally exercising, but in Bleach the best way to gain strength was to meditate and do Jinsen and communicate with your sword. Gaining strength was performed through becoming closer to your Zanpakuto spirit through communication and understanding. And I thought that was a really fascinating idea. So I was the whole right arm fusion thing. It was something that I really wished Kubo would have delved into more. And then especially as the final like 5 chapters of Bleach shows us, Aizen became completely like one with his Zanpakuto to the point where it seemingly he could just manifest it and get rid of it at any point. Like he's like, all right, here it is. Now it's gone. Now it was like it became just like literally like a thing he could materialize. Even when he was in Muken, he could just do the whole illusion thing to you watch without even having it out. So the power became not his Zanpakuto's power, but his power.
It's badass as fuck.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to avoid swearing, but it
can't
be helped.
No,
like,
we're gonna swear. You're not gonna get monetized anyway. It doesn't matter.
You're right, but I mean, I just reached 100 subscribers. Subscribaloos.
Mangoes. All right, continue with your thing.
But I'll start things off by saying this: The Zanpakuto do not start off as Zanpakuto, even though that is what Zangetsu himself stated when Ichigo went into his inner world after being almost killed by the hands of Zaraki. But instead, low-ranking Soul Reapers Zanpakuto are called Asauchi. Now, this is going back to Nimaya, something that I thought was pretty cool, because it really brings into perspective that, oh, yes, the Soul Reapers have these cool powers through the sword, but there has to be something before the sword, you know?
Yeah,
Naturally.
yeah. Well, because before the Asauchi was kind of revealed, it was almost like like I remember thinking like I guess this is just something they're born with.
Yeah.
So remember we saw the Toshiro flashback, which took place at least in the manga. It was in the same volume that the Grimjow fight was in. But in the Toshiro flashback, the spirit of Maru was like in him. I'm assuming you've seen this, Cole, where like he's freezing over his grandmother and like
Yeah.
almost killing her. Remember that? Yeah,
I've
so
seen it.
that was implied, and of course this could either come down to Kubo being inconsistent with writing, or maybe I'm sure if you tweak things here and there, you can make it make sense if you want to. But like there, it was implied that like the power is like that soul is a part of you, but you need something to like channel it into, and that would be the Asauchi, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't say this earlier, but the Asauchi don't have names, which is why Oetsu said they are the most powerful, because they don't have names. They are completely and utterly a white
They're a
slate.
blank slate, essentially.
Yeah, they're a blank canvas. They have the potential to be anything, whereas high-ranking Soul Reapers, such as 23rd seats and above, do have names. The reason these Zanpakuto are so unique is that they have names because they suck the life out of the Soul Reaper, basically, to the point where they can have a consciousness and begin communicating. We see this in the flashback with Rukia and Aronero, but it wasn't Aronero, it was, what's his name?
Are you talking about the Ninth Espada? I heard you say Aronero.
Yeah, Aronero, but it's
Fuck his last name, no one cares.
Shiba. No, the Shiba.
Oh,
dude.
Cayenne Shiba.
Cayenne, yes. Yeah. I don't know why I was blanking on his name, but essentially, like, we see when she first learns the name of Sode no Shirayuki, she's ecstatic because that means her Zanpakuto now has a consciousness enough to actually talk to her and give her the name.
Also, kind of, it's kind of like a acceptance. Like, oh, it's accepted me. Like, it thinks that I'm worthy of it. Which was always hilarious to me that Renji got like the ultimate shaft with his Zanpakuto. He didn't trust him enough to give him the real name, like over and over and over again. It was like, oof.
Little known fact about the Asauchi is that every single one of them is created by Oetsu Nimaya, and he knows where every single one are. And this has been going on since the creation of the Seireitei. So every single person that enters the Shino Academy gets an Asauchi, or a Zanpakuto. And every single one of them is created by Nimaya. I think that's fucking badass.
It is cool. Now I wonder, do you think there's like a really high tuition they have to pay, and that's what pays like Nimaya's wages?
Oof. I think it's a labor of love. You know.
Yeah, I mean that was mostly a dig on American college prices.
Right. But the Asauchi is so iconic in that no Soul Reaper has awoken their abilities from one that Oetsu hasn't forged. Meaning,
except for Ichigo?
No.
Well, I thought Ichigo was Ichigo's was because of White, which was the hollow that Aizen created. Remember?
Oetsu stated that was not a Zanpakuto. That it was something completely
Well,
different.
he stated that what white was if I remember correctly, it was a hollow that was forged by folding like a bunch of Soul Reaper souls and
Yes.
like hollow souls together or some weird shit. And he implied that like the Asuchi was made in a similar way. Don't you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. But
So it was essentially an off-brand Asauchi, you know?
ooh, excuse me. Basically, yeah. But he said that it's not one that he created, so it's not a Zanpakuto, despite the way that it was, or how Ichigo obtained it.
So he owns monopolies on Zanpakuto, and he's keeping the patent strong.
Yep. Good for Oetsu. But after Ichigo got his formed, it was like, oh, now you can call yourself a Soul Reaper because this is both Zangetsu.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was implied that, like, hey, the reason your power's been so odd and weird is because you're kind of dealing with, like, a weird, off-brand, awkward Asauchi that isn't even really an Asauchi. Let me make you a real one. Here's your real shit.
The Asauchi, once obtained by a Soul Reaper in the Shino Academy, begins to leech off the spirit energy of that soul as to gain power. That is why it is quoted to be the singular most powerful weapon of all time, because it has the possibility to become anything. Granted, once a Zanpakuto becomes a Zanpakuto, it loses that title depending on the power it has and the Soul Reaper it leeches off of. Now, it's not really a power thing because, while it's an Asauchi, it has this limitless power, but instead because it has the potential. And that's what I like about it. Like so many animes are like, this is the most powerful state ever. And this one's like, it could be the most powerful.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, like, you have to, it's just like our world where, like, I'm sure every scientific discovery that ever happened, people thought this is the pinnacle. We'll never get past this. You know what I mean? Yeah. So even the idea that there's something behind Bankai makes total sense. The only issue is that it's crazy to think that no captain had ever found it until Ichigo did, which is always kind of odd. Actually, just as a side question, I always wanted your thoughts on this, Cole. Mm-hmm. I always found that time in Bleach was very odd and inconsistent. There were some that talked about how the beginning of Soul Society and shit was like 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, and then in the Fullbring arc, there's a line where Rukia says Ichigo was able to change the 1,000,000 years of Soul Society history and law in like one day or whatever, and it was like, what?
The Seireitei itself was started 1,200 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But the Soul Society has been around since the beginning of time.
That makes sense, although I guess my question at that point would be, in this world, when did humans become around? Because even if you want to like believe like evolutionary, like let's say we're going on the evolutionary track here, that would be like what, like 250,000 years at the most?
Couple million.
So like that always weirded me out, just as a quick aside.
It's humans have been around. It was stated that humans started walking upright 100,000 years ago. However, scientists have recently discovered that it's way further beyond. Like, I'm talking couple million.
All them stretches to defend Kubo's writing. I love it.
Like, Yo, Kubo may be shit at writing, but Hey
man, I like a lot of what Kubo does, but I will call out inconsistencies.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies.
I have no issue with him. His manga is the series that got me into fucking anime. Like, I have nothing but respect for the dude.
Talking about inconsistencies, let's talk about how dragons and witches are now a thing in Bleach.
Yeah!
Jesus Christ.
I'm okay with that. Can that just be a series? Like, what? Fucking make it a series.
Right, thank you. I really want to read some Burn the Witch. Like, dog.
Bro, we did a Burn the Witch review on my channel with my roommate here. And it was one of the biggest viewed videos on our channel. It got like 300, 400 views. And we were like so hyped in that. We were like, yeah, like this is great. Make it a series. Like this is so prime Kubo right now.
It's beautiful. Anyway, back to the topic at hand, because obviously we need to We need to talk about the evolution of the Zanpakuto, not...
Hey, man, it's
not
a
the
mixture
variable.
of scripted and off-topic. That's the beauty of podcasts.
Yeah. It makes me think, like, are there regional variants to these things? You know, like...
Are you talking about Burn the Witch again?
Yeah, with the dragons
so it's
being
implied,
on one
so,
side.
Like, with Burn the Witch, it's like clearly the creatures that they dealt with, that they called them dragons, right? Like everything was a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So like those creatures are like their hollows. The way I saw it, right? Because there were similarities but differences, just like different species from different continents. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but not all dragons are hostile like hollows are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, majority of the dragons, they stated, are peaceful creatures. It's only like a handful of dragons that are like, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could just like kind of quell any plot holes with just saying, like, it's just like animals in our world, different areas, they act differently and have different, like, behavioral patterns. And it also makes sense too. I mean, one of the biggest questions I always heard in the original Bleach was like, why is the afterlife like based off of feudal Japan? That's odd. But no, that was just one chunk of the afterlife. So no, I quite liked that development. It helped my brain a lot with the bigger Bleach world.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the evolution of Zanpakuto.
Yeah, back to the on topic. Once the Zanpakuto reaches the state of being a Zanpakuto, it doesn't automatically mean that power is given of Shikai and Bankai. En contraire, actually, the user must earn the name of the Zanpakuto through training and meditating. Simply knowing the figure of the Zanpakuto means nothing when growing in power and bonding towards the ultimate evolution. Now, this is apparent once again in the Cayenne and Rukia flashback, when Rukia finally learns the name of her Zanpakuto, Sode no Shirayuki, it's through the mass amounts of training that she's done with it, you know. It was a Zanpakuto at that point, however, it wasn't, you know, perfect, I guess you could say. She didn't automatically know it was Hakano Togami, or, so, like, I mean, she did know it was Sode no Shirayuki, but that's
and, you know, I actually wonder, too, like, just as, like, a theory crafting thing here, since we're talking about, like, the final stage of it, or well, at least one of the most final stages of Zanpakuto evolution would be full body merging. Rukia's Bankai almost looked like a merging, didn't it?
Yeah. It changed her full body, it changed her appearance completely, and it killed her.
Yeah, I mean, technically.
Tends to happen, you know?
It's weird. Like, I'm curious on your thoughts on this. I really wanted to see more of her Bankai, because like what always confused me about her Bankai was that she did it and then she's just stuck. So is it just a one shot, or is there a way to actually fight in that Bankai?
I think much like Zaraki's, you know how when Zaraki went, it was too much power for his body to handle. I think it's the same thing with Rukia. She has to, like, get used to it, do the 10 more years of training.
Yeah, and conveniently, I believe the time skip was 10 years.
Yeah.
So
she would have a mastered Bankai. Same with Zaraki, which is very nice.
Byakuya is, like, there with a stopwatch, like, and 10 years, you can be captain now.
Yep. I think it's awesome that it took
That's what I told Ichigo. I can't fucking be wrong now.
The name that it reveals, however, is not the true name, but instead a nickname of sorts. This form is known as the Shikai. Being given the name of Shikai doesn't mean that it is the only name you can use. The Zanpakuto has a personality of its own, and it can choose to not lend its true power to the Soul Reaper by the way of the Soul Reaper treating it. This, in fact, is shown with Yumichika and him releasing his blade by the name of Fuji Kujaku instead of Ruri-Iru Kujaku. Due to the bond he has with his Zanpakuto, Yumichika knows that its favorite color is azure, the name of Ruri-Iru. So it limits its power by calling it Lavender Peacock instead, or Fujikujaku. This irritates the Zanpakuto to the point of withdrawing its Keto-based abilities and possibly not trusting Yumichika enough to give its true name, or Bankai, for a melee-based ability of splitting into 4-pronged sickles. Now, majority of the time, this can be the pinnacle of power for the Soul Reaper. However, they can go even greater by learning its true name, known as Bankai.
Dun dun dun. Cue Ichigo's 2-minute activation scene in the original arc.
Ugh. It's going to Yumichika. This is obviously apparent also in Renji. Though Renji's is the Bankai aspect. It's more so not trusting the Soul Reaper because it feels as though the Soul Reaper is too weak to handle its power, which is understandable. You know, you can't just automatically trust someone. And
oh yeah,
I think the only reason Zabimaru gave Renji the amount of power that it did is because it saw how determined he was to become better than
that's actually
Byakuya.
I like that as a theory. That makes it's hey, you're not ready for actual Bankai, but I see the situation here. You're going to fight Byakuya. It's an awkward thing. You need something.
Mm-hmm. I love Soyo Zabimaru. A lot of people shit on Renji. Nah. Renji's dude, you'd be surprised how many people don't like Renji.
I get you. He's underrated for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, people. I think the reason he gets shit on a bit is because he had a very bad track record after the Soul Society. He was kind of, you could tell Kubo wrote him into the archetype of the character that always loses. For a while. It was the only victories he had for a long time was that one fucking Sile Power. However you pronounce that fucker's name, the pink hair, spot number 8's brother.
Yeah.
He beat him.
Oh, wait, Ilford.
Yes, he beat him, and then I'm trying to remember who else he had a victory on until Mass Day Masculine. He was kind of always just getting the shaft, unfortunately, and that was just, I think, that's what happens if you do that to a character.
He beat Jackie, but then again, I smell another video.
I didn't even hear what you said. What did he beat?
He beat Jackie.
Oh,
in the Fullbring arc.
Yes, yes, and then he was like, "I've been trained to fight people like Aizen."
So I'm obviously
Cue Aizen. I guarantee you, if he fought Aizen, fucking full merged Aizen, he would have just been like, "Get out of here, bitch."
Dude, Renji versus base Aizen, Soul Society arc Aizen, I guarantee
he could have done something there, but little did they know Aizen somehow kept getting more powerful in jail, which is terrifying. But I guess that makes sense in a way, because it's they can't remove his Zanpakuto from him, so he has all the time in the world to meditate and communicate with his Zanpakuto.
Right. So it's not really that big of a surprise.
No, it makes sense.
I don't have it stated in here, but it's not really that big of a surprise when Shunsui says, "Oh," or whoever says it, Kisuke or Shunsui.
Yeah, it was Shunsui. He was that fucking monster. He's gotten more strong in jail.
He's and it makes sense when you realize, he's got the whole Gyoku who's afraid of dying, so it gives him immortality and and this and that, and all right, well, I guess he's just God.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole thing. They couldn't kill him, so it's an awkward situation he's in. And that actually makes me think too, to the very end of the series. He was in the third to last page of the series. You remember, it was him, and then it went, so Aizen, what do you think about how Aizen's character kind of had that what was he saying at the very end there? And what did you think that meant in your mind?
Oh, I gotta read it. Oh, fuck.
Well, I mean, if that's too off topic, we can wait. But
now, he said something you wanted to.
It was something
where
he was talking about you watch his goal, and it was you can't remove fear from the world, because fear is what causes people to evolve and get stronger, and that's kind of what makes life, or something like that.
Because of the one simple aspect.
Solemn and sad, and there's always, to this day, there's one thing that I really want to know. Do you remember Aizen and Ichigo are like, they fight off Yuwatch together and they think they've defeated him, and then he looks to Ichigo and he's like, Ichigo Kurosaki, ... He was about to say some shit, and then he got absorbed by Yuwatch. Like, what was he gonna say there? That's gonna bother me for the rest of my fucking life.
What if he was gonna say thank you?
I love you.
Yeah,
Yowie. I'm kidding. No, I mean,
it wouldn't
maybe,
surprise me if he would be like, "Thank you for showing me that I truly am not alone in this world," or something like that.
Oh,
that would be speculations.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. All right, back to the Zanpakuto shit.
How does a Soul Reaper learn Bankai? Well, it's not an easy feat, seeing as it takes 10 years to learn it and 10 more to master it. Though, the meditative process of the blade and body, the Zanpakuto will bring its true name and give it to the Soul Reaper for its absolute ability. Now, like I said before, this isn't always the case because it can hold back, as we see with Hihio Zabimaru. And, you know, if you really want to get technical, I think Daigorin Hyorin Maru.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was a strange thing, right? Like,
yeah.
So, the way that wasn't... So, okay, have you watched Hunter x Hunter?
I've seen majority of it for the most part.
Do you know about the whole adult Gon thing?
Yes.
Okay, so spoilers for Hunter x Hunter. Seriously, if you have not seen Hunter x Hunter and you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead like a minute or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Hunter x Hunter...
Make it like 5 minutes or so.
I don't know. Either way, in Hunter x Hunter, there's a moment where he's facing an opponent that he cannot beat at his current moment, but it's like a life or death situation. Like, he has to, otherwise he's going to be killed. Mm-hmm. So he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to sacrifice all my nen right now to forcibly age myself up to the point where I would be at my highest potential so that I could beat... Like, this is still the power he would have had if he were to just train and do all the things normally, but he, like, forced himself to that moment immediately.
That's wild that you can do that.
Yeah, and by the way, this, because it's not Kubo, he doesn't just get his powers back. He's done. Like Togashi just switched main characters. It's Kurapika now as the main character.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's why I love that. That's
and he's done.
Awesome.
He's done in the story.
Yeah.
He is currently at his house with his aunt doing homework like a normal kid. It like flashed to him with like a side sketch where it was like, here's all this homework you missed while you were on your shonen adventure. But yeah, so no, like Togashi was just like, nope, you made this sacrifice, you're done, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what Daigirin Hirinmaru, whatever the fuck his like ultimate actual real form was, reminded me of, because the way he put it was like, my body's too small and chibi and adorable to handle this awesome power of my Bankai. Yeah. So it's gonna forcibly age me up. It was very similar to that.
Mm-hmm. 99% of all Zanpakuto communicate mentally through the act of meditation, and can even grow in power with the Soul Reaper through such an act. Take Sajin Komomora for an example. Said to have such a strong bond with his Zanpakuto that if it gets hurt, so does he, and vice versa with the healing. Though that's not to say having a strong bond with your Zanpakuto will make it nigh omniscient, for this is far from the truth with Sajin Komomora, seeing as in the anime he is one of, if not the weakest captain. However, the mention of meditation does bring up the next paragraph and topic.
You know, that Kubo really enjoyed... That was actually a trope that I noticed that he liked to do, right? So, like, I think every author has certain things they enjoy doing. With Kishimoto, it was eye powers, you know, there's a lot of things that you can tell that, like, certain authors like. Kubo really enjoyed the whole... If you're like he liked to do the whole, the smaller one is more powerful, right? So like there was that thing. One of my favorite concepts was with the Vasto Lorde. It was like the more human they look, the more powerful they are, which is actually like a reversal of a lot of series where it's like, look how monstrous and evil and holy shit he looks. In Bleach, it was actually the more normal and human and small they looked, they were more powerful. So
Take Stark for
that was something that I noticed that he did with Komomora as well, where he looks like he would be one of the more intimidating, large, physical captains. Mm-hmm. In reality, he was actually arguably the weakest.
Which makes me sad because, like, in the manga, holy,
he had his moment, and then oof,
spoiler alert,
his fate was sad.
Tengen Myo Dangai Joy!
Now he's just a wolf. Just a normal wolf.
Yep. He gets immortality for all but, like, 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was
And
fucked
then
up.
just
Like, all right,
fucking dies.
here's your fucking deal, and it lasted for like 2 seconds.
Like,
You know, my
Poor
headcanon
Sanji.
is that most of the immortality was like he did it in that cave, and then he had to like run all the way back. Like I feel
yeah.
like he used like 90% of the time running back.
yeah. Because, I mean,
Fucked up.
Flash Step isn't teleportation. It's just
Right.
fast running.
Well, it depends on how far away that cave was. I have to assume
Yeah.
it was semi far away because it was like some fucking disheveled, pushed away clan.
It's another dimension.
Yep, that was like also. Yeah, you're right. That was implied, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. But through mass amounts of meditation, we see the Zanpakuto can become so powerful that it bonds to the Soul Reaper to such a point that it melds with the Soul Reaper's dominant arm. We could speculate that it isn't only the right arm, though Aizen and Ichigo are both righties. Even though he is the main character, meditation, from what we can assume, was around 3 months. It was like 2,000 hours, which is borderline 3 months. We'll just call it that. In the Dangai. The Dangai being a realm that moves space and time faster than both the Seireitei and the world of the living, has a flow of raw spirit energy within it that can be held back by either low-level Soul Reapers or Captain-level Soul Reapers. Now, that was something that I always thought was cool. Like, with the restrictive current, they're like, oh yeah, we send these low-level Soul Reapers in there just to hold it back and clean it up. But then Ishin's
Yeah, it used to be. It was like a whole team of them, but
Yeah.
Ishin's like, I'm cool though, so I got this.
Yeah, and then he just so happens to have the soul restrictive things that he ninja throws into the wall. And,
Yeah, you know, I just carry these with me just in case.
right? It's like, that begs the question, does every Soul Reaper have them? Do all of the captains have them? Like,
Cole, I have a meta question for you.
Yeah.
How do you think that Kubo was just in a situation where he was like, fuck, how is he going to beat Aizen? Oh, I got it. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest here.
pretty much, yeah. In all
Okay.
honesty. Because because remember, Ishin was like, oh, my Zanpakuto was reluctant to teach me the final Getsuga Tensho. And then, like, in chapters 530 through
Whatever the
540,
fuck, yeah.
that retcons it completely as to how he lost his powers. You know? Like,
Yeah, it's strange. You know, and by the way, just as a side complaint that's always been bugging me that I need to get out there into the world. You remember in the first fucking arc when Ishin had that really cool moment where it was like, I smoke a cigarette once a year at her grave because it was the one time that Misaki said I looked cool.
Yeah.
I was really expecting that to be a scene in the flashback.
Right.
That would have been such a good callback to the OG Bleach fans that remember that shit. I was like, where is it? This motherfucker's got to smoke.
These,
And just gotta say he looks cool. I need it.
I loved it.
But instead, we got fucking montages of them going to the movies and shit. And I'm like, all right, that's great. Just slide in him smoking and she and her with like a heart and hugging him while he's smoking. Easy. It's done. How did you forget that?
You look so badass, Ishin-kun.
Oh my god. Yeah, and then that's where it goes into the fanfic where they like just get down and dirty.
Into Misaki's quote-unquote inner world. Ooh.
Oh my god, that's beautiful.
Now, with all that being said, Ichigo's father, Ishin, held the restrictive current back long enough for Ichigo to go meditate and learn the final Getsuga Tensho, or Mugetsu.
Which was just a glorified large Getsuga Tensho.
Basically, yeah, black and blue. Through the meditative process, Ichigo was able to reach a level that could only be considered transcendent, and no one even thought it was possible. Well, no one but Aizen. Upon reaching this state and rushing to Karakura town, Aizen commented stating that he saw that Ichigo's Zanpakuto had also fused with his right arm. The Hogyoku inside of Aizen, not knowing what to expect, began to feel fear once more, and began the process of evolution again. In their fight, Ichigo released a blast known as Mugetsu, or New Moon, and split Aizen in half. The Hogyoku evolved once more. though the Hogyoku had granted him immortality in fear of dying itself, and allowed Aizen to evolve even further beyond, which is what we see. Hold up.
I am interested in your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
So, like, how much of what the evolution we saw was the Hogyoku, and how much was just the natural evolution of the Zanpakuto, right? Because we want to theorize that the right arm form is potentially like the actual legitimate next step beyond Bankai. But I never knew if like the form he had was like more because of the Hogyoku, or if maybe the Hogyoku was granting his wish of more strength through pushing him artificially into the next form beyond Bankai. What do you think about that?
I think it's the Hogyoku pushing him into the net, like basically like Gon did with the forcing his body to evolve. You know,
that makes sense.
In that aspect, because when he gets split in half and lands next to Ichigo, his Zanpakuto starts to crumble, and he's like, "Oh, the Hogyoku has recognized that I don't need a Zanpakuto."
That's true, and you know what? That carries on to the final arc when we see him completely like he is merged with it. So it at the time, I thought, like when I first read that, I assumed that he was wrong. I assumed that he was mistaken. He thought that was what was happening, but really it was like his Zanpakuto disappearing because he was defeated. And in reality, I think he was right about that. And his Zanpakuto actually was merging with him, but it just so happened that Uehara got him in that seal.
Mm-hmm.
I think he actually was correct in that regard, which is fascinating.
The Hogyoku did see how close Ichigo was with his Zanpakuto and made it so that Aizen became fully one with his. That's what I personally think. You know?
Ooh, I like that.
Which brings us to the next paragraph and final topic, full body evolution. In the case of full body evolution, no, this isn't Digimon.
Digimon!
That, like, it just sounds like something that's like of Digimon, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah.
We only see one person who has been able to perform such a feat, and yes, it is Sosuke.
Sosuke motherfucking Aizen. That's okay, just as a little meta, guys. He has a script. It literally says Sosuke motherfucking Aizen. I'm proud of this.
When I interviewed Kyle
Yep,
Hebert,
Kyle Herbert confirms.
Hebert.
Oh, why do I even say Herbert? What the fuck's wrong with me? I'm sorry.
But, I called him Sosuke motherfucking Aizen, and he's like, wow, I didn't know my name was motherfucking.
That's my middle name now, Sosuke motherfucking Aizen. You can't say it either way.
Though he has done so through the power of the Hogyoku, we're not entirely sure if the Zero Squad has such abilities. Now, this is
God, it's a damn crime that we didn't see more of the Zero Squad.
Right, I think the same thing. But, I feel like the Zero Squad has the abilities too. You know, mostly either Ichibei or Nimaya.
They should.
To get the right arm fusion or the full body fusion, solely because Nimaya is the creator of the Zanpakuto, and Ichibei is the one that gave it the name.
So Nimaya, it was implied that he had like a bunch of Zanpakuto, right? He just had a bunch lying around, and he could just choose which one he wanted to use for that day, correct?
Yep.
So, like, and we saw with just the one that he had to keep in, like, a fucking tank because it was so sharp. So, like, I wonder if he has, like, you know, for all we know, and this is mega headcanon theory crafting here, for all we know, he could be fully merged with his actual Zanpakuto, and he just never used it.
Able to manifest it however the fuck he wants.
Because, I mean, if you go back and look at that fight, he was defeated very quickly. Like, it went from him owning them to down, like, immediately. So you could possibly stretch the idea that maybe he had a full body thing merging, but like it just like he was over, because a lot of them, when the Zero Squad were fighting, they were very overconfident.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that was kind of their hubris, where they went in there and like almost the entire fight they were like, meh, we're just gonna dispatch of you easily, you know.
But like, I must stress this enough, because I know there's going to be someone who's going to be like, oh, why would you bring the Zero Squad up? There's nothing showing that. It's theory. You know, I want to clarify that. Like, anything dealing with the Zero Squad and full body evolution, which is canon. It is canon. But anything dealing with the Zero Squad and it being canon isn't canon.
Oh yeah,
That's
it
completely
was just theory crafting for fun.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing with it.
Like, but I love the thought of, because they're one with the Soul King himself, like, they could potentially just be like, oh yeah, hey, Zanpakuto, you wanna, give me all of your power and become one with me? And then the Zanpakuto's
Was
like,
it implied that they were one with the Soul King?
yeah,
Like,
they
what-
have his bones in him. They can communicate with
Oh,
him
right.
telepathically.
I guess. Yeah, I guess I get that.
So-
Also, hashtag never forget Nehemiah had a fucking Zanpakuto harem.
Yeah. I mean,
This man! Like, it's almost scummy if you think about it. It's like...
now,
But-
did they all have the same names or did they not?
Say what?
Did they all have the same names or no?
I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird if you think... Like, let's be honest. We know why he made them. Why are they there, Cole? Don't kid yourself.
Obvious questions.
Oof. Power corrupts.
Mm-hmm. But I
Moving
mean,
on.
if you're all the way up there, wouldn't you get lonely?
Oh, God. You're not wrong. Yeah. I get that.
With only possibly one dude, because Senjimaru is a guy. So,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
with one chick.
Also, is Cone still up there? When was the last time we saw Cone?
Shit. That's right. We don't know where Cone's at.
Did Cone just live with them now?
Oh no.
Because I remember he was brought over to Senjumaru.
Mm-hmm.
Because they used him as like a landing cushion.
Dog, if he thinks Yuzu dressing him up is bad, he should spend a night with Senjimaru. God damn.
Bro, I need fan art of this right now. Cone's ultimate
that's
fate
awesome.
is... Who would have ever thought that Cone's ultimate fate would have been to be stuck with the Zero Squad for the rest of his life?
Mm-hmm. The Soul King, even though he was literally one-shotted, though, he's still a transcendent being, able to split himself into multiple pieces who are also transcendent.
I never expected him to be
arguably
like a good
transcendent.
fighter, though. Like I would like, especially I don't know, like because when you have a series that has like a god, there are two options they can go. They can go the powerful, he could kick your ass in one move god, or the kind of like, because I've seen plenty of series where the god is more of like an object, where like the god just acts there as like a balancing thing. You know, and I could tell immediately once they went up there, and he was just kind of like a dude that was like never moving. I was like, oh, it's that type.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
what's going on? Is that a sword? Oh no. But like the Soul King was always the most fascinating being to me, mostly because
Me
like
too.
we've seen Arankar split themselves up, and in doing so, it like halves their power. But the Soul King is so powerful, he can maintain the 3 universes, or the 3 dimensions, quote unquote 3. There's 7, but it's 3. You know, 3 main
Wait,
ones.
list the 7. Hold on, I
Alright.
want to hear this.
So we have the Soul Society, World of the Living, Hueca Mundo. Those are the obvious 3. Then we have
Dongai Precipice, I assume.
no, Shadow, the
What?
reverse side
Oh,
of the Soul Society. That is its own dimension.
that was like a shadow dimension of like Soul Society, which yeah, I guess.
Then we have the Beast Realm. Then we have Hell. And
All right, fair enough.
I said 7. It's 6.
Wasn't there? Didn't they make like? I'm trying to remember. They made at one point they made one of the movies canon. Remember,
The first.
didn't Ichigo like reference
Yeah.
the
Valley of Screams.
Memories of Nobody world
the Valley of
in the manga?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess that world would be canon too, wouldn't it?
Technically, but the Valley of Screams is the world. in
That's the
between.
one. Thank you.
Yeah. But wait, what was I saying before this?
I don't know. We got into a tangent about the fucking different worlds in
Oh
Bleach.
yeah. Because of the Soul King, like how he's able to.
He's strong enough to maintain them all. Yeah.
Yeah, and then split his body into pieces, into 4 different pieces. The hand, or 5 actually, since Gerard is the heart of the Soul King. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And still maintain his physical transcendent being, albeit in a quadriplegic state.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot to talk about with that, right? So I'm assuming you know the majority of what goes on in the novels, correct?
Yes.
Hello?
To which, yes. To which I will
Sorry,
be
cut
doing
off. So Yuach's dead corpse was used as the Soul King. I'm assuming you know this.
Yes.
So that interests me because this kind of goes into what I was believing, whereas like it seems like there just needs to be a sacrifice. I don't know if it's a sacrifice, but like a body to like exist, a powerful enough body to exist to be like balance almost. You know what I mean? So like I almost wonder if the original Soul King was similar because we never really saw him emote or do it. The only time we ever saw him like do anything, and it wasn't even directly. I believe it was Korinji who said that he was interested to see Ichigo, which implied that he had like emotion, you know, or something. You know, like he had thoughts, right? But we never saw that ourselves. And now we know that Yuach's dead corpse is a functioning Soul King, apparently. So I'm just curious, like, what's your thoughts on that?
Theoretically, you could say that the Zero Squad are like the emotions of the Soul King. You know, since he speaks through them, in a way. But I feel like that's another video for another time.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Even though, I mean, these are incredible topics to talk about. But let's save it for the next episode of Seireitei.
You're right.
And literally nothing will be scripted. Once Aizen was defeated at the hands of Kisuke Urahara with the help of Ichigo Kurosaki, Central 46 sentenced Aizen to 18,800 years in Mukin. That is until Aizen mouthed off and got himself 20,000 years.
As you do when you're Sosuke motherfucking Aizen.
Yes. Gotta be the smartass of the Soul Society. In that time, he was in prison, Aizen had all the time in the world to meditate and grow even stronger with his Zanpakuto, even to the point where once he was released in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, he stated to grow even stronger than when he fought against Mugetsu Ichigo. Now, this was another thing. He's also so powerful. I didn't mention this in the script, but he was also so powerful and had such a bond with his Zanpakuto. He literally just had to will it to take over Yuha.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
It is, and that's why, like, so those final 5 chapters of Bleach, I really want to talk about this too. Those final 5 chapters of Bleach are some of the most, it sucks to how rushed they were, but goddamn they were entertaining.
Right.
Like, the fight between Yuha and Aizen was like, oh, it's everything I've ever wanted. It's only in 1 chapter. But that one, I believe it was like 783, I think. Or 773. It was one of those two. It was so good, man. And the amount of illusions, like, that just showed how OP he is. Especially now that, like, there's no sword involved. Like, he doesn't have to even, like, that is just a power he has now. He's essentially untouchable.
Right.
Like, look at how good he was able to do against Yuach, who is basically, like, another one of the most OP villains in all of anime, I would argue. So yeah, he's a walking, talking, unbeatable machine at this point.
Hado 99. Goryo.
Oh, yeah, bro. Oh my god, that shit. You should now. I give you props for having the dub Aizen voice actor saying "Welcome to my Soul Society." Dude. Second choice would have been that Hado.
Right. No. Okay. So here's the thing. I now have the only recording of Aizen saying the official voice actor of Aizen saying "Welcome to my Soul Society."
It sucks that he definitely said it in the wrong cadence, though.
Right.
Like it's because I always imagine it as like "Welcome to my Soul Society," but he definitely I don't think he knew the context of the scene, so it was like it's really good. But I was like, oh, so close.
And I also have the only known recording of Johnny Young Bosch saying "Getsuga Jujisho."
What? You got that shit?
Yeah, he read it while I was doing the interview with him, and I gotta say, it made my heart explode. I was like,
you just made me, bro. You want to talk about fanboying? I'm holding a fucking Pocky stick, and I just like accidentally crushed it and dropped it on the floor from the hype.
That episode will be airing soon because I have to redub some of the lines in it because I
red
hit
is
the
more
mic
important.
so hard.
I'm kidding.
Like, well, that too.
Ha! Jaw thanks. No, if any Bleach I'm officially gonna do that now. If any Bleach motherfuckers ever come to my con anymore, I'm gonna fucking make them say lines from the manga.
Oh yeah, dude, it's like incredible knowing that I've got the only two like massive. Those are massive lines too.
It's a fanboy's dream. Oh.
It's even arguable that if he wasn't restrained, he would be leagues above the Quincy King himself. I mean, a lot of people like to argue that, but like,
didn't he have his restraining shit off for the most part?
No, it was completely restraining him except for like his left ankle, his right eye or something like that, and his mouth.
I thought
the mouth and eye were taken off by Azashiro in the 17-month time skip. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wonder if they're... Have they gone into Aizen anymore at all in the novels?
I want to say yes. I'm not entirely sure. They're, it's Grimmjow versus Shinji going on right now in the light novels.
Grimmjow versus what?
Shinji.
Shinji's fighting Grimmjow?
Yep. We're gonna see Shinji's Bankai.
The rematch, motherfuckers?
Yeah.
You realize Shinji's my favorite character.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
To everyone watching, Red is the voice of Shinji in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. Like he literally is. Just as I am the voice of
as long as it just doesn't get it's so good, everyone's gonna be so much better than me. Stress.
Hey, we're one of the only two that kept our roles for the entire thing.
That's true.
I think I
got that loyalty points.
Right.
But no, that's awesome. I need Shinji's Bankai in my life. Right. When is this going to be translated?
I have no idea.
Okay, you hit me up when that shit comes out.
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat.
And we're doing a video on it too.
Now, I will say this. I say arguably, but let's be honest. In a series where if you have enough spiritual pressure, you can just completely negate someone else's abilities. The fact that
is bullshit. I hate that.
It is, but I mean, hey, it's true. You know, that's like a skinny dude punching a really muscular dude.
That's fair, but tell me that didn't completely fuck Soifon's credibility.
Right. I thought the same thing. I was like, yo,
all you had to do was have him dodge it. Just don't get hit by it. Like, that was like one of the coolest, like, oh, I love that Shikai ability. It's a sure hit, a sure kill, as long as you hit it. Nope. All of a sudden, I was never even confident. I was like, well, it's not even going to kill him, is it?
It's fucking stupid. But, like, the fact that Aizen had Yuha under the hypnosis in the first place means that Aizen is stronger or on equal plane with Yuha.
Well, I think when it comes to Reiatsu battles, right, when you're going into the idea of the Reiatsu being so strong that the battle, or that the power is completely negated, I think it was implied that you have to be massively over the person, right? It's not just like a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
so I can agree with you that Yuwatch isn't massively over Aizen, but potentially they were kind of, I'm going to guess they were on even playing field.
Well, we got to realize Aizen was also restrained. And even if the racy restraints only limit his... Oh
my god. This motherfucking Aizen fanboy over here.
No, I'm just saying, like, even though the racial restraints only limit his AoE, his area of effect,
right,
he still was powerful enough to keep Yuha under the influence of Kyoka Soigetsu before, after, during, and post Almighty absorption of Soul King. And
so couldn't you argue that
as well? Wait,
fights aren't.
Hold up. As well as absorption of Ichigo's powers. Max powers. Bankai, Hollow, and Quincy. So that's fights
aren't all pure power level. And I'm hoping that you know that because like
Yeah.
like you know you get into like some DBZ tard level shit when you're like because some people think that, right?
Well,
But you gotta factor in. I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm just making fun of them. But you got to factor in stuff like strategy, right?
Well,
so
obviously.
when I viewed that battle, the way I looked at it was you watch physically was more powerful because he just had so much goddamn power.
Yeah.
But I think that Aizen strategically was smarter. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Aizen was credited as being one of the smartest captains, like, of all time. And
Exactly.
honest to God, that goes
And the problem that
question.
something that Kubo always does with his villains is they get so powerful where they just stop thinking. You know?
Yeah.
Aizen literally said that. He's like, I don't gotta think anymore. Fuck thinking. I'm too powerful.
Now, Aizen also said, a battle between Soul Reapers is more so a battle of Ryatsu rather than strategy.
Bleh.
I've been hanging around Boss too much in his server. He's been training me in the art of debate.
No, that's fine, I guess. I just think that like strategy is very important in a battle. Like you can have someone that like okay, I don't remember how far you got in Hunter x Hunter, but there was a part in Hunter x Hunter where they showed like a chart, and it was like it was a chart and it was labeled A, B, C, D, right? So like each of those letters is a fighter. So it's like fighter A, fighter B, fighter C, fighter D, and each of the bars they were like at different levels, right? But some of them like you know like essentially like one of them has a higher starting point and the other one has a lower starting point. But so the point they were making was, let's say you have this fighter who is stronger than this fighter. But if this fighter is on their worst day and this fighter's on their best day, the technically weaker person can still beat the stronger person through strategy and wit. You see?
Yeah.
It's important to know that. So, like, I personally think just because of how stupid... Because at that point, Yuach was able to blow shit up with his fucking mind. I don't know if you remember when he just blew the fucking roof off of the place. Like I just... And we saw Yuach almost completely negated Hado 99. Like, so I don't think that it was like I mean, it just kind of disappeared. It did nothing.
Yeah, we didn't even see it go at him, let alone, like... We saw one dragon, even though it translates to 5 dragons of destruction.
We saw 2 dragons.
2? Let me see.
Mm-hmm. But you're right. It translates as way more than we saw, yes. By the way, I have a theory for that. I think it's because he didn't do the incantation.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm. He did that. Because like that's the even crazier part. That's like the weak, really quick version of Hado 99, and it like completely destroyed the landscape. But point being, I just think that Aizen... Here's the thing. Once you get into the realm of illusions, illusions are so fucky when it comes to, like, who's winning a straight battle. Because when you have illusions, it doesn't matter how fucking strong you are. If you aren't seeing shit properly, all of a sudden you're at a huge disadvantage. So it comes down to Aizen having a very, very, very good power for fucking with people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Oh, yeah. Now, hold on. I'm looking at the page right now. It is only one dragon.
Really? I thought it was like... No, I gotta look back now.
Watch, I'll post it in the Discord chat. But
okay.
Holy shit! I never realized how big it was. Like I thought it crumbled the ground, and
no, it like fucking rips up the entire. It's huge the amount of destruction.
No, like look how tiny they are. I never saw it until now. I was like, holy shit!
Oh. Okay, so I took the you see the one loop there? I took the other loop on the other side as another dragon, and I assumed its face was behind the text. But yeah, I guess I shouldn't have assumed. No, so like that's how I knew, right? Because like in this picture you can see it's huge chunks of the ground. Like this is literally ripping up like this is it's ripping up entire structures. Like it's not even just like the ground crumbling a little bit. Like it's literally like destroying this whole society.
For those wondering, this is chapter 683. The Dark Side of Two Worlds ends.
The power was massive. 8. So yes. I remember some people being disappointed by that Hado, and I was like, I'm not. It's fucking crazy. Like, look at the scale of that shit. Like, if that was animated, you'd see how fucking powerful it was.
Dude, like, how much more badass can you get than 5 dragons of destruction?
Right? And it is weird how Kubo did it though, because it really doesn't do it. Like it honestly, to me, it looked like Aizen just used that as a distraction. Like he used Hado 99 as a distraction. Like it was to get his footing all weird. I'm pretty sure that was why he did it.
I mean, the obvious explanation is, oh, Kubo was on the last couple of chapters. He had
Right.
to release it. But, like, it's just a simple fact that, dude, it's the Hado 99. How
Mm-hmm.
fucking
No,
cool.
and by the way, that is one of my favorite panels of that entire fight because I love. It's so rare where you see Aizen because Aizen was always the one people came to him. He never went to other people.
Right.
So you know what I mean. So like to see Aizen, that bottom right panel where he's just like almost Naruto running over to fucking Yuach. I'm like, yeah, like, he's going in.
So beautiful.
Right.
We need more Burn the Witch.
It's like the Bleach equivalent of that episode of Naruto where Madara goes in and fights all like scrubs.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, in his meditative state, Aizen grew so powerful with his Zanpakuto, he was able to simply manifest the blade itself in a physical state which was powerful enough to strike at the Quincy King. Now, obviously, I said Quincy King in the script because Google voice to text doesn't know what
because fuck his name.
Right. And if there is a form stronger than this, please let me know in the comments. Let us know in the comments. Because Lord have mercy, whether it be theoretical or factual, I'd love to hear what everybody has to say.
You know, it would be a fun hypothetical discussion as well. Is like, basically like imagining what like the full body merging of Zanpakuto with other characters would be. Like, can you imagine just like Byakuya just like spawning the cherry blossoms from anywhere? Like Ichigo just like maybe like moving his arm in a downward fashion and shooting against Katenshiro like that. Like they'd become almost DBZ characters.
I'm just imagining like Byakuya getting in a fight and him getting aggravated while he's talking and cherry blossoms just start like
like that'd be his
him.
aura.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. This is why we need more Bleach. Like there's so much more places it could go.
But that's the end of the video, guys. Sad to say. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Seireitei Talk, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything Bleach related. I'm your host, Head Captain Kuro, and joining me today is Shinji Hirako himself, Red Alexander. I hope you enjoyed. Sweet dreams, pals, and I will definitely see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bum 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 bum.